Hey everyone, welcome back. I was just reading an article about a hair salon in Michigan where the owner proudly proclaimed that she would be refusing service to members of the LGBTQ community, citing the recent Supreme Court ruling in the 303 Creative case. If you're not familiar with that case, the Supreme Court essentially said that as long as a business owner is in an expressive profession and has a firmly held religious belief, they can discriminate against a protected class, specifically the LGBTQ community. Now, thankfully in this case, the salon owner's hate speech was met with an appropriate response, which was a massive backlash from the community, as well as their major hair care product supplier canceling their contract. However, unfortunately, I think that this is only the beginning, and we're going to see a lot more stories like this one, as those who didn't learn from history are about to try and repeat it. The history that these people are trying to repeat is essentially the history of segregation. And there are a lot of historical parallels between these two forms of discrimination, starting off with the fact that they are both rooted in Supreme Court rulings. For segregation, it was Plessy versus Ferguson, which established the separate but equal doctrine, and in the modern era we have the 303 Creative case, which allows a business owner with a firmly held religious belief who is operating an expressive business to discriminate against members of the LGBTQ community. Now, the court has a lot of jurisprudence on what constitutes a firmly held religious belief, but they fail to define what an expressive business is. Now, generally we think about that being the arts, movies, music, theater, etc., but in that case, it also applied to web design. And I could definitely see an argument where a hair salon is also an expressive business. I know a lot of my friends express themselves through haircuts, hair coloring, etc., so yeah, that's probably an expressive business as well. Another one that comes to mind is food. A lot of the chefs that I know would say that, yeah, my food is a self-expression, and I'm very proud of what I put on the plate. So, could a restaurant use the 303 creative logic to say, hey, our food is a form of self-expression, therefore we're going to hang a sign on our door that says, no LGBTQ plus persons allowed? Well, I don't know about you, but that seems a little bit too close to segregation for my tastes. Additionally, a lot of right-wing anti-LGBTQ arguments were ripped straight from segregationist talking points. Things like, they're not like us, they don't share our values, they're dangerous to our community, they're coming to corrupt our children. And there were even some segregationists who tried to ground their bigotry in firmly held religious beliefs, stating that God had separated the races and therefore they should remain segregated. As a matter of fact, I don't think that there's any segregationist argument where you can't swap out black for LGBTQ and you don't end up with something that is being said by modern right-wing commentators. And unfortunately, the rhetoric is having a similar effect. Not only are we seeing a lot of Republican-controlled states enacting various anti-LGBTQ laws, but we've also seen an uptick in violence specifically against members of the LGBTQ community. And despite the fact that some lower courts have struck down a number of these anti-LGBTQ laws, with the current constitution of the Supreme Court, I think that a number of them might end up standing on appeal. The only good thing about history repeating itself is that those of us who did learn from history know how the story ends. And in this case, the bad guys don't win. All of these people who are staunchly anti-LGBTQ right now are going to be remembered in the same way as George Wallace standing in the schoolhouse doors of Alabama, as hateful and insecure bigots that have no place in the United States of America. Now, when it comes to both racial and LGBTQ issues, we still have a long way to go. But by learning from history, we can find a number of effective ways to fight back and protect the rights of all minorities in this country. Because LGBTQ rights are human rights, and if they come for one of us, they come for all of us. Think about it.